We're rolling.
Welcome to the REI Rookies Podcast.
The Real Estate Investing Rookies Podcast, episode number 16, where we invite you to follow us on our journey towards financial freedom using the power of real estate. I'm Josh Koth.
And I'm Jack Haas.
And here at REI Rookies, we believe in a couple key principles. Number one, the best way to retain information is by teaching it to others. And number two, a rising tide lifts all boats. We're not competitors, we're a community. So let's get into some real estate investing.
Well, this week we're going to talk about the importance of goal setting.
Yep, and we have another mindset episode here because, again, we want to emphasize how important that is to keep your mind right, your mindset right, keep pushing towards those goals to help push through those inevitably tough times you're going to encounter doing real estate investing. So that's why we're constantly going to have a mindset episode every few episodes just to keep everybody on track.
And setting goals is really an important part, and I think often overlooked. Because it definitely provides that direction your company's going to need when dealing with real estate investing.
And, you know, we're always preaching, you got to take massive action. You got to get out there and do stuff, right? Well, how do you decide what you want to achieve, what you're going to try to accomplish with that massive action, right? I mean, you don't want to just be like a Tasmanian devil out there doing stuff that's not productive. You want to always have your overarching goal in mind, right? So like how many deals are you trying to do depending on what type of real estate investing you're doing, but what overarching goal, you don't have that true north kind of direction figured out, right? So then when you know that, then you can really break it down into smaller, more achievable goals that point you in that direction. And if you don't have those written down and planned out, then you're not going to achieve it because what are the odds that you're just going to stumble in the right direction and, you know, accomplish anything productive, right?
And we should make a point when Josh says write them down, we want you to go as far as putting a big whiteboard up so you have to see these goals on a daily basis.
Yep, I think that's crucial. The visual reminder is so important. It really keeps you on track. Like I said, we have what we call vision boards or dream boards here in the office that have, you know, actual just written down items that we want to accomplish as far as our number of deals and passive income that we're trying to generate, all that kind of stuff. And you even have that at your house, correct?
Yeah, I have that taped next to my mirror. So when I get up in the morning and get ready, I have to see it every single day. And what I think is really kind of neat and especially supportive is that my wife has started doing that as well. So we have a family dream board and a personal dream boards and everything now hanging in the bathroom as well.
Yeah, that's great. And, you know, there's something to that. You know, just having that visual reminder and just keeping you on track. And, you know, I think it just incrementally helps you achieve those and just keeps you motivated and not just enough to where you're headed in the right direction every day and not losing track and kind of keeping your foot off the gas, right?
Yeah, and it really makes things more concrete. You know, when Josh and I were working through this as an exercise, it really makes sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that's another thing too. If you're investing with a partner or you have, you know, an LLC or a partnership of some kind, you want to talk through these goals because what if you're both headed in separate directions? What if somebody is really pursuing buy and hold deals and someone else is really pursuing wholesaling or something and you're not really achieving, you know, headed in the same direction? That's not going to be great for the company. You both want to be headed towards the same goals. So it's important to talk through that as a partnership, as a team. But even if you're just by yourself, you want to know, okay, what am I going to chase after here this year, this quarter? And that's one thing we should talk about too is as far as time horizon goes, like how far out do you think is a good time to set goals?
Well, you and I did a yearly thing at the beginning of the year, and I think that was really helpful. But we're forced into a situation, thanks to this podcast and other things, where we're meeting on a regular basis and constantly evaluating those and putting maybe more of a 90-day goal, like what steps are we going to do in the next 90 days to hit that yearly goal, to make them in more digestible bits.
Yeah, and then also you need to know if you're on track. Let's say, just as a round number, you wanted to do 12 deals a year, which would be one a month. Well, if you're reevaluating it quarterly, then you can see if you're behind. Well, then you're going to have to make up the difference later on, so you can really track your progress. Also, let's say you overachieved in the first quarter and you got more houses or more deals done than you liked, then you can always up that goal, because, why would you want to settle for anything less? You might as well up the goal as long as you've proven that you can achieve it. And actually, that kind of brings us to another point where, we mentioned Grant Cardone and the 10X rule on the last episode. His basic thesis is, why not set the goals really high and don't self-limit? Because if you do, you're probably just going to achieve that lower initial goal that you had set for yourself. Why not dream a little bit, set them kind of aggressively high, take that governor off, and keep your foot on the gas, to keep with the car metaphor. And the worst case scenario is that you probably hit your initial lower goal, but more than likely you'll surpass that. And, maybe you won't hit that extremely high dream 10X goal that you set for yourself, but odds are you're going to overachieve past what you initially planned.
Yeah, don't underestimate yourself, in the end, is what he says in his book.
Yep, that's great. And, like I said, worst case scenario, you'll probably just come in closer to your initial goal. Best case scenario, you just blow it out of the water. And another thing is, once you start to have progress and you get some successes, then it can really bolster your confidence, and you might find yourself upping the goal mid-year or mid-quarter even, especially in real estate investing. Once you get through a few deals and you kind of learn some of the ropes, you might find yourself better at it than you'd anticipated. And another thing is, if you're really good at your networking and all the other lead generation and everything else you're doing, you might have more deals coming your way than you initially planned, and it kind of snowballs on itself. So I think it's important to set those goals high.
We also find that it really helps with our time management, because if we are actually involved in any kind of activities outside of real estate or working on a rehab, it's always points back to those end goals, whether it's the 90 or the year-long goals. What am I doing right now? What activity am I doing right now that pushes our goals forward?
Yep, like we're in the middle of 2 rehabs right now. And even just today, we were over there, pulling out some old appliances and some things that we just had to be done, right? And when you're over there, and, we're part of the reason we were there was to kind of make a plan to how we were going to exactly rehab this one property. And that's good, because that is keeping us on track for the overall goal of flipping this house, or whatever exit strategy we're going to use. We're working towards that. But really, is it the best use of our time to be hauling out old doors and appliances and stuff? Probably not. It was kind of one of those crimes of opportunity. We just did it because we happened to both be there and we needed some extra hands to lift things. But it's always in the back of your mind, should I just be paying someone to do this, and we should be out there finding the next deal. So the fact that that's in your head, in the back of your mind, is what's important. So it keeps your compass pointed to true north, which for us is finding the next deal. That's really where the profit is made in the particular business model that we have. Finding deeply discounted properties and purchasing them, acquiring them. That's where the profit is really secured. And everything else beyond that is just extracting that profit out. So the best and highest use of our time is finding the next deal. So we always have to evaluate, should we be spending time at rehab and doing other things? So having those goals set, really does keep my time management on track.
And it really points back again to that importance of having a network, or you're building your team. Josh and I are partnered together on quite a few of these opportunities, and it really helps us hold each other accountable for those end goals.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. So, we both just kind of say, well, is that going to help this sell quicker, or is it going to help it sell for a higher price? And if whatever we're deciding doesn't do one of those two things, then we're probably not going to do it. So it's always, if you have those overall goals set, and like I said, keeps you pointed true north, it makes every decision a little bit easier, right? It's the same thing when you talk about your formulas, having your formulas figured out for properties. Well, when someone brings you a property, you can pretty quickly determine whether it's going to help meet your investing goals or not. And if a property doesn't help you move towards your investing goals and the numbers don't align in such a way that propel you towards that goal, then it's pretty easy to just dismiss it and move on to the next one.
I think it's important to state, too, that every time you revisit these year-long goals, things might change, due to your market or what have you. So you might have to alter course a little bit, but in the end, you always need to be driving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, market conditions change. Things are seasonal, too. So that's, you might have to take that into consideration, too. What depending on what part of the country you're in. Obviously, here in the upper Midwest, we have pretty harsh winters that slow things down. So, we might be doing a lot more deals in the summer just by the nature of there being more deals available and more buyers and sellers just kind of active in the market. So that's something to consider, too, is, what time of year it is. And another great reason to reevaluate periodically in a shorter time period than yearly. So our kind of overall plan is to have large annual goals and quarterly evaluate those.
So just to kind of wrap things up and to summarize what we're talking about here is, first and foremost, make sure you write your goals down and get them up on the wall someplace where it's reminding you on a daily basis.
And that is so crucial because there's some research out there that really emphasizes that people that write down their goals are much more likely to achieve them. There's something about the psychological effect of that. So why fight it, right? You might as well have them written down and take every little advantage that you can.
Don't underestimate yourself. Make sure that those goals are actually kind of uncomfortable, that they are hard to reach, and you're far better off shooting for the sun and landing on the moon.
Yep, exactly right. Because if you shoot for the moon, you might hit it or you might just get halfway there. But if the farther away it is, the more likely are you going to exceed your initial goal and probably surprise yourself.
It's important to have your team members, including your spouse and your loved ones, all on board and make some of those goals and make most of those goals known to everybody.
Yeah, that's crucial too, because the more accountability you can have in place, the better. Then there's really a less chance of you slacking off and kind of, to keep with the accelerator metaphor, keep your foot off the gas. If everyone around you knows what you're trying to achieve, your family and friends, just out of pure shame, you want to keep trucking towards those goals, right?
That's right. And remember, it always helps with that time management. What are you doing right now to progress towards those end goals? Exactly right. So remember, if you don't set your goals, you're not going to achieve it.
Very true. Let's take this podcast as an example, right? We set a goal. We want to release an episode a week, along with the promotion that requires on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. So when we set that goal and we knew we had to achieve that, miraculously every week, even though we're super busy and we're trying to do rehabs, do real estate deals, doing all our other networking groups and everything else, we find a way to record it, right?
And I think it has to do with, we now see this as quite a bit of value, not only to the people we know and the people that might be listening to this, but to ourselves, because reviewing the content, reviewing the information, and repeating it has been goal setting in itself and very beneficial.
Yep, it's exactly right. So, it's just an example of when you set that very specific goal, that we'll find a way to make it happen. And there's that accountability piece too now, because we have projected to the world that we're going to have an episode out every Sunday. So that's what we produce, and we have to find a way to get that done. So, for somebody who's going to be out of town or something, we would find a way to record 2 or record early or just find a way to get it done. So having that measurable goal written down really forces us to have that accountability piece and keep us producing the content. So this podcast in itself is an example of goal setting at work.
So, moving on to the lesson of the week, real estate investing specific. We had kind of an interesting situation with one of the rehabs that are going on, and Josh kind of found an interesting solution for it.
Yeah, so we took possession of a property that we had to evict someone from, and they left this place just totally trashed, tons of belongings and furniture and TVs and things in it. And so through the process of us cleaning it out, we'd begun that process. We'd hired someone to clean it out for us. I noticed that one of the basement windows had been entered. So that kind of wasn't a great feeling, right? You don't want someone breaking into your newly acquired property, even if it is trashed. You don't want them doing unnecessary damage and adding to your work, or just maybe crashing in there because this person had been kicked out and they claimed they didn't have anywhere to go. So I thought, well, what if they're coming in at night and sleeping there? So that's just not something we're comfortable with. Obviously, there's all kinds of liability issues. There's, the potential for more damage, theft. Not that there's anything they could steal, but, you just don't want people entering your property when you're not there, obviously. So first thing I did was went and found this thing called the Ring floodlight cam. Now, everyone's probably heard of the Ring doorbell. You can put on your front door and it sees who approaches and you can have two-way communication with them. But they also came out with a new product called the Ring floodlight. So what I did was just replaced the floodlight that was at the front door with this Ring floodlight cam, and we got a little wireless Wi-Fi cellular hotspot, put it inside and hooked up to that. And it comes with a little app, and it's great because when it detects motion, it starts recording, and it records to the cloud, and you can just sign in on an app or a website and see. You get notified on your phone anytime anyone approaches the house, and it's really works pretty slick. Anytime we have contractors there, visiting the property, we get notified of that. So it's great just to kind of, you can check up on your contractors, make sure they're there when they say they're going to be, and also just if someone comes there at 2 a.m. and is trying to break in, you get notified of that. You can also turn on a siren and really bright LED lights too. So it's pretty great. And if they can't disable it, because if they walk up to it to do any damage to it, you're going to get a great high def picture, or movie of them destroying it, because it'll be captured right to the cloud. So it's pretty cool.
And you can talk to the person too, right?
Yeah, we've actually had some and we found out it was probably some neighborhood kids that had been entering the property. And I've seen them approach the property a few times since we've taken possession and put this camera up. So we actually have conversed with them a couple times just to kind of say, hey, you kids, stay off my lawn, kind of in a nice way. The other downside to this is now it's a curiosity to them too, because they know someone's watching. So that's, one of the potential downsides too. But, I'll take the added security with a little bit of nuisance over having no knowledge of what's going on over there.
Well, I think what actually happened too is that since the kids realized that was there, we really haven't had much of a problem after that.
Yeah, the deterrent factor is pretty strong with that too, because they know if they approach the house, they're getting recorded. So that's good, some pretty good security for us.
So on to the Coach's Corner, personal development tip or book or quote. And Josh found a good quote here today.
Yeah, this one really is applicable to the goal-setting conversation. And this is from Steve Garvey, a famous Major League baseball player. And he says, you have to set goals that are almost out of reach. If you set a goal that is attainable without much work or thought, you are stuck with something below your true talent and potential, end quote.
Well, that one kind of hits hard.
Well, again, he's just stating what we stated and what Grant Cardone says in the 10X rule. Set your goals beyond what you think you're capable of. And this was definitely a switch for me, because I've always set my goals to what I thought I could realistically achieve, because I thought that's how it's done. You just, okay, I think I can do this many deals a year, or any subject really, whatever it is. You want something achievable because you want to be able to check it off your list and say, I accomplished that. So as someone who likes to succeed in things, it is scary to say, well, maybe double that, or, like Grant Cardone says, 10X it. Well, that's really ludicrous, right? But if you do, more than likely going to outperform what you initially thought. So why not try, right?
That's absolutely right. And as always, we would love to field some questions. So please reach out to us at our email address, info@reiRookies.com, or find us on Facebook or Twitter at REI Rookies.
And definitely head over to iTunes, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It really helps other real estate investing rookies out there find the show.
And remember, get off the bench.
And get into the game. We'll see you next time. Son of a... Good.
So this week we're going to have another episode around mind setting. Miss it. I haven't had enough caffeine.
Good.
This week we're going to talk about goal setting and the importance of making those type of documentation.
What?
I don't know.
End scene. Scene.